the first dumb decision that we're going to talk about today is simply this. Dumb decision number one, I can look, I just can't touch. I've literally heard this come out of the mouths of individuals that I've talked to. What's the big deal? I can look, I just can't touch. It's not a problem until that physical contact takes place. Now, this thought and this idea has brought an incredible rise, not only inside of the United States, but worldwide, of a subject that you mentioned, pornography. In fact, if you looked at the stats of pornography, you may be surprised. Did you know that 90% of children aged 8 to 16 have viewed porn? 90%, 9 out of 10 before the age of 16 have watched porn. In fact, the largest consumers of pornography, 12 to 17-year-old boys. Largest consumers are and did you know this? That many of them are using the video game consoles that you bought them for Christmas in order to get their porn. Did you know that? The number one system, PlayStation 4. Xbox One, Xbox 360. If your video game system can get online, or the little handheld, they're sitting in the back seat and you think they're playing Super Mario Brothers? No, firsthand. I've grabbed one from a kid once, looked at it. You know what they're watching? Porn. That is nothing else to say. What about this one right here? Your cell phone. Number one place people see porn now is on their cell phone. Why? Because your cell phone's yours, right? I mean, your home computer, everybody can get on your home computer. Your TV, anyone can get that, but no one is getting into your phone. And so your phone, that's your number one place where people today are consuming pornography. It's understandable that people stumble over porn, right? 12% of all of the internet is dedicated specifically to the subject. 12%. That's it. Every other subject, 12% of the entire internet is committed to porn. Look at that bottom stat. 70% of men age 18 to 34 visit a porn site in a typical month. 70%. So you look at me and say, Pastor Greg, why are you talking about this in church? I talk about it because I represent a congregation, and that according to statistics, because the numbers are no different inside the church than they are outside of the church, the numbers are the exact same. Here I am in front of 70% statistically that this month they're going to hop on a porn website. That's why I have to talk about this subject. But guys, it's not just you. Did you know 1 in 6 women struggle with porn addiction? That's something that they struggle with in their life? Did you know 10 to 14 billion dollars is spent on porn annually? It's the same amount the United States of America spends on foreign aid. The same amount. As much money that we send out to help other countries is the money that's being spent on pornography today. 25% of all Google searches, of all search engine requests, the goal is to find porn. 1 out of 4. But here's one you may have not known. 50% of pastors regularly look at porn. 1 out of every 2 people that are filling a pulpit this Sunday morning are regularly looking at pornography. That's a problem. That's an issue. And if the spiritual leader is allowing themselves to go down that road, let me tell you, it's a problem for all of us. And it's a problem that we have to address and look at. But probably the most eye-opening statistic to me is that one in your bottom right corner. It says this: 38% of adults say porn is morally acceptable. 38%, 4 out of 10. What are they saying? I can look, but I can't touch. There's not a big deal with that. It's not really that big of a problem. At least they're not fill in the blank. And so I realized, even communicating here, that I'm communicating to an audience that if it's representing the statistic that 4 out of 10 of you believe that what I'm saying is a crock. And that's a problem. Because what pornography actually does is it creates an epidemic. Because when we look at it through the eyesight of, oh, people are just looking and it's not really that big of a deal and no one's really getting hurt. No, people do get hurt. To hear the stories of the individuals who are on that porn site, what they've gone through in their life, how they have been objectified, many of them how they have been abused, the lack of respect that is shown to them. Let me tell you, it's something that makes my God really angry. And it's something that I in no way want to endorse or partake in. See, people do get hurt through this process. But here's the reality of it when we talk about pornography, is that the problem is not the people that are creating the pornography. The problem is the people that are consuming the pornography. You see, it's a simple supply and demand. I mean, this is basic economics. If there wasn't a demand, then there would be no supply. And so we realize that we are part of the problem. That if you're sitting here and you're like some of the statistics, right, that are regularly 70% on a regular basis hopping on a porn site, we perpetuate this behavior inside of our culture and inside of this world. And you may look at me and say, all right, whatever. You know, I hear what you're saying, but come on, man, Jesus didn't even talk about this. I don't remember thou shalt not check out pornography in my Bible, right? I don't know that verse. I want to tell you, Jesus did talk about pornography. And Jesus made it really, really clear. And he even took it a little bit further. In the book of Matthew, chapter 5, verse 28. Listen to what Jesus said. He said, but I tell you that anyone who looks at a woman lustfully has already committed adultery with her in his heart. You know, adultery, that's one of the big 10, right? I mean, that's one of the major ones. That's one of the major commandments. You do not want to break that commandment. Jesus said, listen, if you've looked lustfully at a woman, you've already committed adultery with her in your heart. I realize that even sitting here right now, if you were to live according to that and apply those numbers to your life, that you've committed adultery with hundreds and thousands of women, of men, of people. Puts it into perspective, doesn't it? See, Jesus, when he said that, what he's doing is he's raising the bar to the people that are following after him. He's raising the bar and saying, in your life, you are called to be different. In your life, you are called to be separated. You are called to be not the same as the culture or the world, but you are called to be different. And even sitting here inside of this church, we are called to be different. We are not called to be a statistic. We're not called just to go down the same road because everyone else that we know is doing that. No, we as a church, as a people, are called to be different. Do you know, I came across this quote right here. It said, men have the capacity to nibble with their eyes. And if you nibble junk food all day and a beautiful meal is put before you, you're not hungry. Some of you sitting here right now, your marriages are falling apart. Your relationships are falling apart because you're nibbling on junk food all day long. And you look at it and you think it's her fault or his fault or their fault. You think it's the kid's fault. No, it's your fault. It's your fault and what you're allowing yourself to take into your life and how it is affecting you, how it is changing you. And I mean, we could go down that road to talk about, but let me tell you, it is a profound difference when you allow yourself to let all of this into your life. It begins to rot and decay from the inside out. So you look at me and say, all right, Pastor Greg, I get it. Okay, this is something I need to address. How do I move from wisdom to wisdom with this dumb decision? Well, simply this. Guard your eyes and guard your heart and be proactive. You know what proactive means? Do something before temptation comes. Do something before you find yourself stuck. Because, listen, I know how it is. Listen, if you're here and you're stuck in porn, I'm not here to make you feel bad. I'm here just to point out that there's a problem because you already know you don't want to be there anymore. You know, you find yourself, you just sort of start down this path, and then one web page turns to 2, turns to 573. Turns to 1,098, and it just keeps going. You don't want to allow yourself to go down there. You want to change. Here's what you need to do. You got to be proactive in your life. There's lots of different tools, lots of different things you can use. Now, I believe in being proactive in my life, and I have for years. I use a tool called Covenant Eyes. Covenant Eyes is a great tool. Here's what it does. You just put it on your computer. You can put it on your cell phone, and it just monitors whatever you search, whatever you go through. And here's what it does. It sends a report to an accountability partner. You pick who that accountability partner is. For years, I've had an accountability partner. It's my wife. She's good accountability partner for me, right? Because my wife is going to get a report of every web page I visit. You know how good that is for me? It's great. I got nothing to hide. I'm an open book, and I'm there. And guess what? If I begin to veer or stray or get out, guess who's going to get me back in line? Mama going to get me back in line really quick. Now, I've had covenant eyes for years. Now I got 3 sons. I'm really happy I got covenant eyes. I see everything they do too. So not only am I able to see what I'm doing, but now I can help as a dad provide accountability over their lives too. So that's your responsibility, dads, moms that are out there. Because let me tell you, that's a dark, dark world. And if you allow yourself to go down that path, it gets darker and darker and darker. So you got to be proactive. You got to guard your eyes and you got to guard your heart. You got to do it. No one is going to do it for you. No one is going to come in and say, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to put this program in your computer that's going to monitor all your stuff. You're going to be like, say what? You ain't going to do that to my computer. You got to be the one to say, I don't want to do this anymore, and I'm willing to do whatever it takes to change this area of my life. Amen?